Hey guys, what is going on? I'm Tracy Wanner. Welcome to my shop. Today we are going to tackle a project I've been kind of putting off, but really needs to get done, and that is dust collection for my table saw. Now, I have a very cheap table saw. At the time I bought it, I had a job. There was no better way than to use a table saw, so I just got a cheap one. Didn't think I'd become some, big woodworker or anything like that. But that thing has made a mess everywhere. Anyone who has a cheap table saw knows that the dust collection is horrible. I'm about to get a new shed here very soon, and that is going to be my woodworking shed. And I don't want that kind of mess in my shed. I want to try and contain as much dust as possible. So let's show you just what we are talking about here. Now that you know what I'm talking about here, we need to take care of that right away. In this new shed, dust collection is going to be a big thing on everything I'm trying to do. Keep the air clean, keep the floor clean, things like that. But let's get over there. Let's get the top of that table off so we can remove our table saw and just figure out what it is we can do exactly to try and collect as much of that dust as we can.
Alright, so first we're going to get our fence out of the way. And then we'll get that router out of the way. Any of you who have a cheap table saw like this, a benchtop table saw, I highly recommend you build one of these carts like I got. It makes things so much more enjoyable to use and so much safer as well. Next, we'll take out all the screws that hold the top on. Now we'll get our tabletop out of the way, and you can actually take a good look at the framing I got going here. And my table saw just sits there, so I'll just lift that right out. Now you can see that the top isn't even sealed from the base. I can fit my fingers right underneath it. And look at the gap that's in that between the face and the base of that saw. Now why they thought this little dust port here could actually do any good is beyond me. But it's definitely something we're going to have to take care of. Now I got vents on the side I'll have to seal up. Right now I'm just kind of test fitting pieces in to see what we got to work with and what I can do to get that all sealed up. And there's our dust port out of the way. Now we're going to try and figure out a way to seal up that face from the base there. Somehow seal it up. And this one I'm not sure how we're going to seal that up yet.
So as far as your height adjustment and your angle adjustment, that area right in there, I ain't quite figured out a way just yet on how I want to seal that up. I got a few ideas, rattling in my head. But if you guys have any ideas, I would really love to hear them in the comment section.
And now we're going to take off the bolts to hold the base onto your top so we can get some boards under there. Now I didn't record this part, but here's the bottom base we're going to use to help with our dust collection. And here I'm taking off the main power switch. I've never really liked the location of it, so we're going to be moving that somewhere else where it's much safer, quicker, and easier to get access to. Now when I remove the switch, I got this hole, so we'll have to reuse the box to seal it up. But that's all there is to the switch right there. And there's the box. We're going to put that back on there. That way that part is sealed. I don't have to come up with any other ideas. Now here I'm just fiddling with the wires, getting the connectors all situated, getting all the wires kind of out of my way. Also remember to take a picture of the wires so you remember how they go.
And also after the wiring, to zip tie the wires out of the way.
Now here I just made a simple box that would house the switch. Now here we're just mounting the box on the side of the bench here. Make sure it's easy, I can get to it. Now here I'm just figuring a rough length, giving myself plenty of wire to work with. Now I'm going to funnel the dust to the back where I'm going to have a dust collection, and that's what I'm doing here, just figuring out the angle. Now here I'm just hot gluing this in, just kind of tacking it for now. There really doesn't need to be a whole lot of strength here, just needs to hold it together. Now here I'm just measuring to figure out what my next piece angles are going to be.
Now the way to figure out my angles is I would take a rough measurement on the bottom to the distance I wanted, and I'd mark it on each of the corners, and then I would measure up to my top piece there. Write down the measurement, and then go to your other side, to your smaller side, write that one down, and that way when you cut it out in your board, you will know, this height is your low side, this height is your high side. That way it's a little easier to figure out your angles.
And I just repeated this process piece by piece until it's all done. Now this is all glued up. I ran glue all along all the seams. I added a 1x in the back there to support the hose, that way it wouldn't break out on me later on. I got my funnel down at the bottom there, and then it's just a matter of setting my table saw back in its place and putting the top back on. Securing that, getting it all squared up, and run all the screws back into it. time to wire up our switch there. Basically what I did was I cut the wire in half, ran it to the switch, and then the other half would go to the plug-in itself.
One thing I forgot to mention to you guys is as I was taking the wires out for my switch, I also took a quick picture for reference just so I could remember exactly which wire went where, which paid off because the very first time I ended up blowing one of my little breakers. Went back to my picture, found out, oops, I switched two of the wires around. Went back, switched around.
And after all that, it's time to finally fire it up for the first time. And she works. And now we need to make sure our table saw is level with our tabletop. And I'll adjust that with these bolts I just ran in there, and I'll bring that up to the proper height.
So now that I've gotten to try out that table saw for a week or two now, I haven't even had to hook up the chop vac, and it's made a huge difference. I can't even believe how much of a difference it's made. The only little bit I got is right on the height adjustment and your angle adjustment there, right in that front half. So if you guys have any ideas, I'd love to hear them. Now hopefully this gives you some ideas to do maybe on your own table saw. So that's all I got for you guys this time. I hope to see you next time. Again, I'm Tracy Wanner. Thanks for being in my shop. I'll see you next time.